Check, check. All right. Anyway, this is my Megabase. Been working off and on this for the past couple months. So just I guess where to start. We're cranking 1.3 million and some change science a minute. I think that definitely breaks into the Megabase range. Our goal when we set out was 1 million or better. And right now we're climbing that because our research productivity is still going up at a reasonable rate. But yeah, 1.3 million megabase. So this is the hub. I figure we'll do a quick tour here, show you guys what I've been working on. This hub was designed by Stupid Fat Hobbit, known as Dragonfly Labs. Some minor modifications to it, but we're looking at 13,000 legendary bots on this network in Novice. Just a quick overview of Novice. Let me back out. So we got our hub here, our biolabs. We got some biter farms. The initial base was back here. My starting base. A lot of it's torn down to save resources, not to save iron or copper, but to save CPU resources. So you see blank spaces like this, there was probably something there in the past, like science. Red and green science, for example, was there. This looks like it was purple science right here. But some of the stuff's still online here. We still need our card production, our processing units, rocket fuel, low density structure, logistics, solar, so on. But yeah, started out in the early game with the main bus system. Made a pretty hefty main bus, 4 wide here, and early game got off the planet like that. These rocket capacity has been greatly expanded over time. I have a lot of extra rockets here. Uh, this area was where I made a lot of my legendary items, and I'm no longer building them, so I've dismantled most of the production facilities. Our initial perimeter was this concrete square. We expanded outwards over time, fighting the good fight against the biters. Once we got to Volcanus, we started making these artillery blocks to push our perimeter further out. So on the mini map, any of these red squares are the artillery blocks. They used to go even further out, all the way out here, but I did some pollution cloud management, and I don't need to have them stretch that far anymore, which probably means the biters will eventually creep back in as they expand, but that's going to take a very long time. So, but yeah, just overall base, I decided to make my science on Volcanus, a lot of science on Volcanus. On Novice, I have the blue science. This is an old Stupid Fat Hobbit blade, if you will. I don't know if it even counts as a blade. It's more of an assembly. But all the blue science gets made here. And to be honest, with what I know now, this could probably be just belted to the hub. But I wanted it on the train. I wanted the train system to handle everything, so I trained it this distance. We do have 2 load stations and buffer chests going, so we can run a lot of trains just off these stations. We're running a train limit, so the train station does shut down when it's loading and it'll default to the next train station for that resource. Rail system, is right here. We got these depots as an interrupt on the train config. So we have interrupts set up to go for fuel and also to stop at depots. There's different depots for the blue science and then the purple and black science depots over here mostly. But yeah, we initially had a couple unload stations here just because I couldn't squeeze it in to be closer to the hub, but eventually I broke down and connected these two rail segments to try and squeeze these unloads for purple, blue science, black science as close as possible. So in the future, if I do anything to this base, it's probably going to be to redesign this hub to get these rail points as close as possible. So I'll probably split this somehow and run some rails here to the hub. But yeah, that's the lab. The lab setups. These labs are clocked with a timing clock, so they don't run full blast on the inserters to save processing power. You notice in the top right, I am taking some FPS and UPS hits. I'm just kind of at the limit of what my computer can handle, especially with the 2 Prometheum ships online, and we'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, this is pretty much novice. I got legendary nuclear fuel going over here. This blueprint's excellent. I think I got this from Conage's blueprints, if I remember right. This is another design I had going for uranium processing because it took an absolute crap ton of uranium-235 to make the biolabs and the biter nests, captive biter nests. Some old solar panel blocks. If you're familiar with Neilos's blueprints, you'll probably be familiar with some of these. I started out with the master class, doing city block. Here's Jumpstart base. So started out with city block and switched to some megabasing blueprints after that. But here's purple science. Just a river of purple coming in on the trains constantly. And this was fun to run. 10 belts of stone. Just pumping stone. We got a calcite delivery system. So calcite leaves the hub on a rail. Here, calcite goes outbound from the hub, and it'll load these stations. And these are set up on the circuit network, so they'll disable if they're full, so the train won't go there or anything. So these only enable once the draw on the calcite's enough, and then the calcite train will go to whichever one's open because they're all named the same. Quick glance at gray science, military science, if you will. But same thing here, loads to train. I am playing on juiced resource settings, so a lot of resource patches on novice. Yeah, didn't have any real problems with resources. This is my second patch that I made when I was mid-game, and it's still quite full, so yeah, 109 million on the second patch, 208 copper. Initial patches it got mined out pretty good. But yeah, that's novice. That's where all the science takes place, or processed anyway. Biolabs, clocked biolabs. You can see the inserter clocking here. Inserters saving a lot of processing power. This hub can support more biolabs in this. I could expand this for even more production, but I've kind of hit a point where my CPU just doesn't want to take it anymore, and I need to optimize a lot of things if I'm going to expand at all. We do have tree farms here on the pollution cloud, so Notice my pollution cloud is nice and contained. It used to be all the way out to the black edges, but we did some heavy tree farm planting here, and we make enough trees as is. This is one of the things that I base this off Hobbit's design when he was streaming, but I did make this blueprint myself. So this is pretty cool. We got I didn't get the clock myself though, but we do have this clocked on a timer so that things are less active and the aggro towers disable, inserter arms disable based on their conditions. So save some processing there. So we have clocked biolabs and clocked farms, and that's what manages the pollution cloud. Before this, I had these artillery posts all the way out here fighting the Great Biter War, which is pretty much continuous. As big as this map was, my artillery was always hitting something and biters were always walking in. So a lot of my assemblies have some extra legendary Tesla turrets or lasers sitting around them. That's why. It's because the biters were attacking this base pretty constantly. Not to any effect, but it did cost, a decent amount of materials repairing the damage over and over. But yeah, that's Namas. So let's take a look at Volcanus. So Volcanus is probably the base I'm most proud of overall. We started out with the city block blueprint, so you can see some of the masterclass, Nilos masterclass blueprints here. They're all upgraded to be higher quality now, but we started there and expanded the city block style as we could. We have quite a bit of blue card production on this planet, and that's because one, we have a lot of science launching on this planet over and over, but also we made a lot of modules here, and a lot of our legendary materials were made here due to the availability of kind of infinite iron, copper, steel. This is also where we did LDS shuffle and blue card shuffle on this planet for the speed modules. Yeah, LDS batteries, upgraded versions of the Masterclass blueprint. So these make quite a bit. Could be more optimal, but it's what we have. Here, this empty spot in mid game was all the science for mid game. Using the Masterclass blueprints, which is superseded by what we're doing now. Here's some more rocket fuel production, LDS production. But yeah, we settled up with some of Hobbit's blades, fusion power generator. We have these on every planet. Something I added to this blueprint, this is another Hobbit blueprint. Something I added to this was a tank and a circuit to enable refill in case this ever gets low. I don't know the exact mechanics of it, but if you run these long enough, this fluid can get low somehow. I'm not sure exactly how that happens, but it does. But yeah, here's the yellow science blades. And we are voiding into the lava here. Voiding into the lava to get rid of landfill. Over here we got the red and green science. And here comes the launch. It's kind of impressive. Everything going at the same time. But yeah, that's a lot of science leaving. And then down here we got the orange science. So quite a bit of tungsten required, so I built a near tungsten patch. And same thing here, we got this lava being voided, molten iron, molten copper generators. And that's pretty much it for Volcanus. Some old solar farms made when I was still running on sulfur power. There used to be sulfur power plants running off sulfur and turbines, but we deleted those. Only real problem is ever running out of coal, and I got a 10 million patch here still, so I think we're okay. Gleba, very busy planet. Again, you can see I started with the masterclass blueprints and then expanded up over time. Got some card generation here with calcite. This was my initial science maker on Gleba, and eventually I expanded this to have another couple batteries of it. I had three blocks of this on a separate resource feed to get through mid game, and that's how I researched most of my my mid game was basically a 3x of the masterclass blueprints. This is a little broken right now because I was putting other stuff in here, but stuff that matters is perfectly functional. We do get attacked on Gleba quite frequently. There's usually a big pile of bodies. Yeah, see. Big pile of bodies here dying to legendary Tesla turrets. So many enemies they can't get through. But on Gleba, our main science blades are like this. This one's inactive right now. Probably needs a restart. Yeah, this one needs a restart. These are not truly jamless. They do rely on the demand to keep running. So like this one's running fine, but these two are not right now just because there's not enough demand on there's no demand running on green science. But it's more than enough for over 1 million science. We have a Bioflux battery here. This is to launch the Bioflux to Novice to feed the biter eggs, the captive biter nests. We got this blueprint, which we worked a lot on. Don't recall where I got this, but it was all ate up, to be honest. It was jamming and didn't have proper spoilage elimination. So we modified this blueprint, and it makes all of our processing units, low density structure, and rocket fuel to launch the rockets. And this actually is truly jamless now, as long as you have spoilage, storage, or elimination in your network. This thing will never stop running. It has a built-in restart to it. We have lots of parts. See what else is on this planet that's relevant. Carbon fiber is headed to Aquilo to feed the Promethium science production chain. And yeah, that's Gleba. Lots of farms, lots of spores going out. So Fulgora, probably the simplest one. Base started small, expanded really big. With foundation, untold amount of foundation spread on this planet before I really expanded. We got a train system here. And the train system was expansive. It went all the way up here. And this is how I fed most of my legendary production. It wasn't made all Volcanus or Novice. It was made here for legendaries. and we had 10 trains running of scrap on these stations, and we had this scrap sorting blueprint from Nelos, and we had 5 of them running. We deleted 3 of them because they're pretty heavy UPS draw with all the inserters and recyclers, and we don't need that much material anymore. But that's how we basically scaled up into late game, and yeah, that's basically the whole of Fulgora. It was just this train system and the scrap. Um, Most of this was made after I went to Aquilo and set up a ton of foundation. But then for late game, we got this blueprint from Vader Dev, and this is what's called a Fulgora Island. You drop these miners like so, and it outputs a lot of scrap and a very complicated sorting system using some rocket silo nonsense. But ultimately, it makes electromagnetic science packs and launches them. And yeah, we got to a point where I think 2.5 or 2 was not quite enough. 2 of these was not quite enough for Biolab, so we had to make a third one. It's way overkill. But yeah, a very excellent blueprint. Probably some things that could go on with the inserter arms clocking from what I saw, but works well enough for me for now. Yeah, that's Fulgora. Then Aquilo, the Nightmare Planet. I hate this place. It's such a pain to get started in the masterclass here. But yeah, you can see the basic masterclass blueprints here were modified after a while, especially since this power plant doesn't need to be running anymore. But we doubled up on the science of Aquilo in the mid game, so that's why you see 2 of these basically without the power block. All of our fusion fuel, extra lithium battery here, extra rocket fuel, solid fuel. Fusion plant down here, which is apparently messed up. So I should probably fix that. I don't know how I did this, but I did. Hmm. Oh, I messed this up when I added this fuel tank here. How is this fixable? Probably not quite fixable right now. I'm gonna continue on with the video. I'm gonna have to like pull that up and redesign part of it, but issue for another time. Another fusion plant, masterclass blueprint, fusion plant on Aquilo. I was actually doing the math and the space considerations on this power plant versus the masterclass one, and I think this is actually more space efficient in overall tiles, but I could be wrong on that. Here's Aquilo Science, taken from Hobbit's Science Blade book. This is the quantum processors. We got everything here on a bus, being kept afloat by our mining productivity being so high. And yeah, that's Aquilo. Short and simple, just the oil island. Pumps here, and that's pretty much the whole thing. So now let's talk about the ships. My personal This is what's called the Tynan design from Hobbit ships. We used a lot of Nelos' ships as well this run. They're just not in commission right now. Most of them have been deconstructed. We got two of these ships, and these probably need to be replaced by the other design, but these are laser based, so they require a lot of laser research. I think 23 before you can run these ships. Got the long version of it running cryogenic science. This is the Aquilo science ship. I have no idea why I haven't gone to Volcanus right now, but yeah, our wide science ship took some modification to make it truly jamless. So we're ejecting some science into space to empty the cargo hold when it's full. And because of asteroid productivity, this belt will jam, so we're eliminating quite a bit of our material there too. But overall, pretty good ship. Generates all the space science I'll need. Another long boy for electromagnetic science. And then another one for red, green, yellow, and orange, which is all shipped together on the same shipment. 300k a batch. We got a dedicated ship for Aquilo rocket parts because we can't make this stuff on Aquilo. At least not easily. We just have to ship the mats. So yeah, we got a whole shipment of holmium, blue cards, and low density structure that constantly goes from Volcanus Fulgora to Aquilo. And then we got a couple circular routes here. This ship hits every planet and gathers all the materials needed for Aquilo to do the foundation, as well as the rocket stuff and the quantum processors. And this is a second copy of the ship. We have two running, just because Aquilo's a long route. And then finally we have, this is a bit of an outdated, this is logistics, explosives, old non-legendary Tesla turrets. This is all the stuff that needed to pass between the planets initially, when I was first, in the early mid game. And also brings a big shipment of calcite across all the planets. Yeah, that's the shipping, except for the Prometheum ships. This is the Hello ship from Hobbit's Blueprints. And these things are lag monsters. I have two of them in service. They are thruster stack ships, so they can go almost 800. They do have this circuit control on it. I wanted to mention this. This circuit has a timer that starts when it picks up eggs. And when the timer hits a certain point, it'll disable these extra thrusters, which is necessary because it will go so fast in Prometheum space that it will destroy itself. So those thrusters cut off to conserve ammo and basically make the ship survivable. And wow, we had a biter egg hatch on board. Don't see that often. But I went with the design where you grab the biters and fly out and then make the stuff. The ship's fast enough to do that. Just requires some logic. So if we're doing research productivity, we're getting half the science. Right now, 1.3 million. So we should be around 600 something K for research productivity research. And yeah, that's a Megabase. 646 hours, 8 minutes, and counting. Ran this factory a lot overnight to stockpile materials, that's for sure. But that's my Megabase. If you stayed this long in the video, thanks for checking it out. And I'll see you guys again.